Hey, what's going on, guys? Happy Friday, I suppose. Um, so we got some news in. Projections are updated through what we have now, but still waiting on some pieces. Some more important than others, I believe. I think most slate defining, I guess, or slate altering news is going to be what comes out of Minnesota, because they have both Russell and Gobert as questionable.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, I was just recapping the injury news, just saying that we're waiting for a couple of things. The most slate relevant really is what comes out of Minnesota, because you have both Russell and Gobert questionable, and obviously if both of those guys are out, or if Gobert is out, I mean, then Naz Reid just pops up immediately, and if Russell is out, then I imagine that Noel is going to be a good play, and if both of them are out, then I guess in either case Anthony Edwards becomes a good play, if anybody's out. And the other thing that I guess is what I'm waiting for, if I can get it, is OKC starters, I suppose.
Yep.
I guess that's somewhat relevant.
Well, Klay Thompson is hugely relevant, maybe the most important thing on the slate.
Because Klay is still questionable, and if he is out, then I guess whoever starts for him becomes pretty good.
No, Jordan Poole, but then Kuminga and Moody are in play. JaMychal Green is probably in play. DiVincenzo will probably look like the best projection play of all of them. So there'll be 5 guys legitimately in play, which makes Joel Embiid as a run back at 0% ownership really interesting. Right. It's a national televised game for Embiid. I've gone over this over and over again. Embiid averages like 1 million fantasy points on nationally televised games. It's not just that. It's that he's got an incredible matchup and no one's going to play him. So it could become that type of a thing where we end up thinking about a Warriors game stack. I'm less on if Klay's out, I'm going to be less on DiVincenzo than the field will. I promise that.
A couple of just I just want to go through these games for a minute. So a couple of just kind of bow wows I want to just kind of bring up to you. So Atlanta, Charlotte, nothing has really changed for me as my outlook on that, except to emphasize that even though DeAndre Hunter, as he always does, like projects like pretty well, I think that I don't think you need him. I don't think he's going to provide the upside on a slate like this, or a slate that's become like this, I guess.
Who did you say? I'm sorry.
I was talking about DeAndre Hunter.
I didn't realize he was projecting like anything.
He is, yeah. So I'm probably not gonna do that. The other thing is that I still think that Bogdanović is, he's a play. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he's particularly a great play at this price anymore, but I don't think he's a bad play either. I don't know if I'm going to get him in a big lineup at this point, though. I still like Trey. I still like Okongwu. I still like LaMelo on the Charlotte side. So they did announce that Gordon Hayward was going to play. Don't know how much.
Enough from LaMelo.
They also announced that PJ Washington was out, and then Jalen. I keep getting the McDaniels confused, but the one that plays for Charlotte is going to be starting, and I'm wondering how he's going to show up. He looks like a pretty decent play, and I want you to comment on those two things, and one other, just a total freaking dart. I mean, like on a smaller slate, I would, Frank Kaminsky is going back to Charlotte, and there's literally nobody else. And if he gets 15 minutes on another slate, you kind of want him, but I don't think I want him to.
Yeah, well, I have Kaminsky at 30% right now. Okay. I put him in my smaller things because I have a Okongwu in all my big buy-ins basically, but even some of my 88s I'm actually going to throw to Kaminsky. I don't think that it's a matchup where they need to play big, but they don't exactly have like a small ball five either. So I do think Kaminsky and Okongwu should split the majority of the minutes at center, basically all of them. And I think Okongwu obviously is the obvious one. But there is a path where he gets 2 quick fouls and Kaminsky gets going. And, you know, he's got some Olynyk type of stuff in his game. He can get hot and hit couple threes and, you know, a couple nice plays. And next thing you know, he gets a lot of the run going forward in that game. So I don't mind the Kaminsky idea. My cores are still built on the original things we said until I have more news. I really think that like the 8K range, like I think Fox at no ownership, Van Fleet, obviously, you know, LaMelo will have some ownership, Mitchell, all those guys are just such awesome plays. It's hard for me not to want to build that as my sort of core. I do have LeBron in a couple big lineups. And I have Jaylen Noel just sort of hoping, and I can, you know, I was initially going to switch over if Noel was out to, I'm sorry, if Russell plays to, for the Celtics, I was going to switch over to Brogdon, but now we have Smart's not only a go, but Robert Williams is back. So it's a little more crowded over there. But I still like the idea of taking a skeptical shot on Noel. He can get there anyway, and the upside is really high. I also love Jalen Duran to pair with Okongwu at center. Hey, look, we saw Jokic score 80 points and still not be on the winning lineup. Partly because he wasn't played that much, but partly because the minimum cost centers, the whatever at the time, 3,800 and 4,100, so 7,900, they combined for 80 something fantasy points. So I kind of like the idea of building like that as well today. So I'm still waiting on the information. I'm going to play some Kuminga no matter what. I'm going to dabble with some Kevin Love stuff. I'm just not getting the Thad right now, but I might end up changing my mind depending on what kind of build I go with. And it's going to depend on, you know, the stuff that you covered at the top, the basically who's playing, and then the starting lineup for OKC is kind of a big deal.
Couple of other things. Still in this Atlanta game, only because we're talking about Kaminsky. I guess it's also possible that that Jalen Johnson can play up there a little bit.
Well, anybody can play. I mean, we could just speculate all day long with 19.
Well, yeah, but he's played 30 minutes 2 of the last 4 games. That's the only reason I bring him up.
Oh no, he's in play for sure. Like in general, DeAndre Hunter wasn't there for his bigger minute game, his highest minute game.
Okay.
Keep in mind. But they do like him, and I could easily see him playing and be a play. I probably am not going to play him, but I don't think they're going to like try to go small. I think they're going to play their normal lineup. It's Okongwu. It's just what happens when he gets in foul trouble.
So you were mentioning about Fox. One of the things that might, you know, not that he really needs it, but might help is that Davion Mitchell was ruled out. So maybe, you know, 34 becomes 36 or so. I don't know. I don't know if that affects anything too much, but
I think it's enough of any sort of relevant data to boost a guy who already at 8,100 like 3 weeks ago would have been like 70% owned on this slate. You know what I mean?
The other thing again coming out of that game is Kevin Huerter remains questionable.
I'm expecting him to play, but I understand it. I think that was more of an injury management, not even injury management, just giving a guy a rest on a back-to-back. I think
because then your guy, the Terrence Davis might become.
If he's out, then Terrence Davis is okay for sure. Monk would also be in play too, but like I have too many names as it is, so I'll just go through. Like I have the guys who I mentioned as my players, but the guys I'm considering getting heavy on, and I haven't even like. There's a lot of them. Kaminsky, Gobert, which I actually started to on Kaminsky. Gobert, Edwards, Noel, Embiid, Jokic, Giddey, SGA, Ivy, Thad, Poku, Clay, Moody, Poole, JaMychal Green, and then all of whatever else happens with Golden State. It's just depending on what else happens. You know what I mean? As it stands right now, I kind of like my build. I'm probably going to shift, but if Clay is out too, And even maybe still, we should be shifting more to Jordan Poole and just hope the game stays close. But if we hope it stays close, wouldn't we want Embiid, who's going to crush on the other side?
That's a tough game to stay close with both Curry and.
But we see it all the time with them. They do it all the time. Like
Lemon and Draymond out. I mean,
they do it though. Like, you know what I mean? They still have. It's not like they have like 7 bodies. You know what I mean?
No,
they've got bodies. Philly hasn't really blown out anybody. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just more open to. But like, I mean, if Clay is out, it could be Ty Jerome starting, which is going to throw a wrinkle into all the projections, and then we're going to have to make some decisions. I still would lean towards guys like Kuminga, Moody, Poole as your core with some JaMychal Green if Clay is out. I still think Clay can play anyway.
I'm not getting anything in the Orlando-Boston game at all, I don't think.
I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both good plays, but I agree with you. You could play Fultz, you could play. There's a bunch of you coulds. You know what I mean? I'm just not choosing to go that way.
In Indiana, Cleveland, I'm not quite getting there either. You still getting some Donovan Mitchell?
Love Mitchell. Okay. And I like Garland if you're not playing Mitchell. And I even threw Lamar Stevens into a few lineups just because of the price and the type of game environment. But again, I have a little time to adjust on that one. And I have some Kevin Love.
Yeah, tell me we're gonna do that, huh?
He's just 3,600. I mean,
yeah,
got 50 fantasy point upside. It's very rare to get guys.
I guess so.
I mean, he played 16 minutes. He had 9 rebounds the other day. Like,
yeah. Brooklyn, Toronto. I guess if you get to these guys by accident, but do you have these guys as priority? All of these Toronto guys?
I have Van Vliet. One of Van Vliet or Scotty Barnes.
Okay, you like them instead of.
I mean, Van Vliet in the matchup that he's played the best in historically. He had one really, really bad game this year, but before last year, he's usually killed this team. And he's put up 66 the other day. Without Anunoby, I actually think he's the biggest beneficiary along with Scotty Barnes. I don't think it affects Pascal that much because he's sort of their main guy anyway. And you put Brooklyn as the matchup. I think they're both really interesting, both those two. And I think that if you want to play Boucher and go back to that, I think that's totally fine. I'm just not going to get there today.
We talked about Golden State and Philly for the most part. The Knicks. I mean, I think that if you stumble across Jalen Brunson, I think it's not bad. I was getting to a little bit of Zach LaVine here and there on the Chicago side. So if you stumble across him, that's good. I don't know if I'd force him in or anything like that. But when I was building hand building lineups, his price was kind of like fit into what I wanted to do. So sometimes he just kind of made it in there. But I don't think anything's a real priority in that game. This Minnesota OKC game is going to be the thing, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. By the way, I just want to throw something out about Bogdanovich.
Which one?
I'm gonna play. The obvious Bogdanovich. I'm gonna play 75% of him. I don't think this is like a questionable spot. I think his projection should be around 37 or 36, and I don't honestly know why it's not. He had a bad game the other day and only put up 28. So now people think that he's not a great play at 6K. I actually will go ahead and say that I think that he's like. If there's one guy other than Okongwu who I wanted to have in like almost all my lineups, it would be Bogdanovich. By the way, both Bogdanoviches are fine, but Bogdan, I just don't think people are realizing that Atlanta's gotten killed a couple times in a row. And if the games really are close and they're playing well enough, you know what I mean? Like if Trey and him played well enough to win, they go 60-something, 40-something in the last game. You know what I mean? Just to make up the difference in points lost. Do we really think Charlotte's going to blow them out?
No.
So I'm very into that. And I like. So the game stacks I like though are I sort of like that one. I with just LaMelo though on the other side. But you can play 3 on Atlanta. I sort of like the potentially Golden State, Philadelphia, and stack and pray. And then I also like the Minnesota OKC game. But we have to speculate until we find out about D'Angelo Russell. But if he's
Well,
out, Kyle Anderson, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Noel are all awesome plays. If somehow Gobert is out, which I don't think is going to happen, but Naz Reid is the best play on the slate with Noel. Like, if he and Russell are out, like, so maybe backloading and just counting on something happening there would be a good idea.
Well, if that's the case, right, then you really, you got to be really careful playing when you play a Kongwu. Make sure that you leave some room. You know what I mean? For don't play two centers. Leave yourself a chance if Naz Reid comes available.
Well, but if you're playing the later games anyway, you'll be able to do that. The only time,
right. My point. I mean, like if you have to, if you wanted to play like Duran or
that's the problem.
Something like that.
So in my Duran Okongwu lineups, because I'm going to have that combination 100%. I'm not going to change that unless somebody's not something happens weird. In those lineups, I'll try to I'll play LaMelo on the other side, and I'll play De'Aaron Fox. You know what I mean? Like, I'll build those like that. You know what I mean? And then I'll build the other ones geared towards the other stuff where I'm not playing those two together. But if I'm going to play Duran and Okongwu together, I'll use my good plays on the other side in those games rather than my good plays in the later game, which would be the Minnesota OKC situation.
Well, let's talk about OKC for a minute. So when Darius Bazley was popping earlier, I was asking him, why is Darius Bazley popping? He says, well, I mean, they just have no size. And now Darius Bazley is out. So I'm going to be very curious to know what they do.
Yeah, the really crazy thing that will throw a wrench into everyone's thing is if the other Jalen Williams, who they drafted this year, who's also a rookie, Jalen with a Jay, if he starts.
Yeah.
Like if Gobert plays, there is no reason why they could start Muscala, and then he'll look like a projection darling, or they could start Jalen Williams, or they could start Poku. It's really up in the air.
And if Poku starts, I'm going to play him. If he
I actually be really just be really aware. If he starts, he still may not play the rest of the game after his first rotation.
Right, but if he doesn't start, he might not play at all.
He'll play no matter what. He's just not going to play more than there's so many times where he plays 20 minutes here, and there's also some times where he plays 30 something, and you need him. So it's a really tricky one to play as a chalky play.
If you want to really lose, by the way, you want another play that's like just like an awful play. You could play Eugene Omoruyi from OKC. He's another big guy they can throw in if they feel like it. He's got a couple of games that you'd want at 3K already on the board, where he scored 30 fantasy points. I have no idea what if he's going to play a single minute, but I was just doing a little digging around, and I just happened to notice that
I believe they lost those games by like 40 something points, but I'm not 100% sure. You're right, and he could muck it up for the guys who I mentioned. So that's definitely.
Let's just take a look and see what the score of that game was. 123 to 102. That sounds at Memphis. I imagine that's. And they actually beat Toronto 132 to 113. Wow.
So they smoked. So it was a blowout the other way. That's so
probably
weird.
Yeah. Probably.
It might have been when Toronto had none of their guys. They literally had none of their five at one point this year. We were playing Malachi Flynn, remember?
Portland, Dallas. For me, I'm probably still gonna get to Christian Wood. I mean, Maxi Kleber's out. You know what I mean? So that helps. It doesn't. It's not. It was really funny. Remember I mentioned how Saberson had him at like 38, and then a couple of other guys, one at 31 and one at 34, whatever it was. So Saberson rolled him back to 34, and someone else moved to 39.
Yeah, I just don't like if Christian Wood gets there. Great, good job, Christian Wood. Like I don't see this as being like there's nothing that like logic based other than the fact that he's probably a little too cheap. I guess nothing makes this look like you have to play Christian Wood here. Kind of weird for a guy to be projected for more than he's put up in a month.
And again, once again, if we didn't like any of that, right? So
bad matchup.
Yeah, so we didn't like any of that, and you feel like really waiting. this is a good game. I kind of want to have one or two guys like left in my PMR. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you know what
just
I
in
would do
case.
though is I would play like a LeBron, Schroeder, Jokic lineup. I'll throw one in.
Oh, there you go. That's something.
You know, like I still like I like what's his name better than I like. It feels really weird to say that about Jokic, but I like Embiid better.
What about Westbrook?
It's just Westbrook. You know, it's the same play it always is. He can always do it.
And
I don't know what else to say. You know?
even if going into this last game, I have a 48-minute PMR with freaking like Bones Highland. Even, you know what I mean? Just like anybody in this game, you know, it's kind of like.
But what if you had a great score and you played LeBron, Jokic, and Schroeder, and you turned it into LeBron, Murray, and Westbrook?
Right.
To be safer. You know what I mean? Or if you think
that's true.
You know what I mean? You just have some swappability, and then you never know. Something weird happens, and maybe the 5:30 game, you get some other news that you don't know, or the 8:30 Eastern game. It's just worth considering. I've definitely thought about that quite a bit.
And we get
the only problem I like that Rody with the Bones LeBron. I don't like, first of all, Bones and Jokic are like the worst correlation. Even if they both get there, it's almost always while the other one isn't on the court for Bones. They do want to play them together, and Bones does get, like, they put up 116 together last time, so I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's a little bit harder. It's a good enough matchup where I think it makes sense, but the problem I have with it is, what if anybody's ruled out as part of the reason why having a guy like Schroeder with the value would pay off? Because then what happens if, well, I guess if Jamal Murray's ruled out, you're playing Bones. But like if we get a weird late, LeBron, AD, or Westbrook, some kind of funny business, which happens enough of the time for us to at least consider it, or a weird starting lineup from the Lakers who have lost some in a row, and Beverly's starting right now. What if Schroeder moves to the bench? There's just going to be other plays you could use in that Schroeder price range, or you can switch to another, as long as you can find a 3v3 that works. And I guess that's why the Bones thing works. But that almost doesn't help you if there's any switchable information, in my opinion.
Right.
And for what it's worth, Eric Johnson, I do have a little bit of Jaylen Brown. I like him fine. I'm not going to try on this kind of slate to target Boston at home in a massive
right.
while they have more players back and healthy than they have all year long, just for no other reason than that they're good players. They are good players. Jaylen Brown is fine. Jason Tatum is fine.
Maybe run that back with like a Bob Banchero or something like that.
Yeah, or a Fultz,
Right. I keep forgetting Fultz is playing well.
Fultz has a ton of upside. The guy's really talented. So is Bol, by the way.
Yeah.
I do love FVV. Trent is never a play. Like, if you're making Trent plays on this kind of slate and you're not game stacking, you're making bad plays. Gary Trent is not a guy you want to generally be playing, period.
Let me tell you
Gary
something.
Gary Trent has
Right?
Gary Trent has one game over 30 fantasy points in his last 22 games.
Gary Trent can F off. I mean, really. That's my comment on Gary Trent.
It's a misconstruct. Like, the people the other day were jumping to play Trent with Anunoby. And I said on our thing, I think playing Gary Trent would be, I don't care if he puts up 50 fantasy points, it's an awful play in my opinion, unless you're stacking that game. I think Gary Trent is always basically an awful play on big slates when he's around 6K, unless you have at least 3 of the top 4 players in the team out, maybe 4 out of the top 5, because he's a guy who you're counting on getting hot shooting, and he's going to get the least opportunity to shoot of any player on the court.
Gary Trent is a really bad play at large slates, followed very closely by how bad he is at playing short slates.
Wait, is he officially out? Because that's what Rody's saying now, and I didn't see that he was out. I saw a lot of people complaining about him the other night. Oh, he's out. That is going to open up some stuff. Okay, we have to at least start thinking about Delano Banton and Chris Boucher a little bit. They're down to 10 bodies. A lot of them big. Ugh.
There's a quote by Nurse saying he expects Flint and Banton to both get chances tonight, but, to borrow a phrase, card subject to change.
I don't know what to do with this game. The one thing that comes to mind is for large field tournaments, I'd play Wancho, but I wouldn't play him in like small field stuff.
Which thing?
I would play Wancho.
Well, I don't even know what team he's on. On Toronto?
Yeah. Because like, who are they going to start with? If they split the minutes between Banton and Flynn, but you still have like Van Vliet, Barnes, and Siakam in there, it really does like. I think Banton would be, if he starts, he's going to be a good play. Just because he can do a lot on the court, and he will do it. Even like, he doesn't have like another mode to his game where he's just going to like fade into the background.
Right.
Last time he played 24 minutes, he put up 46 fantasy points, 48 and a half.
Serious?
That's the most he's played all year long, but still. That's just interesting. I'm curious to see what the projections do with that one. But I do want to add that Gary Trent doesn't necessarily help these other. He does benefit them a little bit, but like, he's not a high usage guy. So like, if Banton's starting ahead of him, Banton actually, his usage can be higher, I think, on the season. I'm almost positive it's much higher than Gary Trent. No, I'm definitely positive it is. So like, you're actually losing some with the other plays, even though it seems like you're gaining. They're still all good plays, but Gary Trent is a low usage starter, which is really valuable to the other starters who you want for fantasy. Now, if you add Banton, who's a high usage guy, even though he won't be as high usage with this unit, it really does depend on who they start there. Eric, you're not totally screwed if you don't have someone with a late night game. That whole late night thing, Sheets, it would make your brain go crazy because you're a very logical person. But for a while in DFS, like, there was like an actual, the narrative was you can't win without playing guys from the late game. There's just no way someone's not going to be able to catch you. And I'm like, doesn't matter when the games are played, man. It's what the final score is. You know
Well, this is going to be my one pushback to that. It's not an illogical pushback, but what it is that it might seem that way only because like a lot of the West Coast players are like high scoring players. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, but that's not what the point was. The point was.
I get it, but you know what? You see Damian Lillard track you down so many times that you start thinking it's because it's playing late, as opposed to the fact that it's just because it's Damian Lillard.
No, it makes more sense in basketball, but the weirdest part is you hear it the most in baseball, which is the dumbest sport for you to hear it.
That's really interesting.
Especially because the West Coast has the worst hitters parks there are. But everybody's like, well, there's always so many late runs because the Dodgers had the best lineup for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? But
right.
There's no logic in, like, the logic in basketball is that you delay and you can make pivots. Tonight we have like basically an isolated game, so we can't really make those pivots for the most part, except for within that game if there's some news in that game.
See any other news coming out of here? Nothing really. Cavs will start the normal people, including Lamar Stevens. I don't know if you have any worry about that.
Yeah, I have just a tiny bit of him, partly because he buys me at least a half hour.
Right.
And like, he's playing 1 million minutes. It's the kind of game where he could, do something just from playing 1 million minutes. The fact that he scored 18 real life points the other night freaks me out. I didn't know that was even like possible for him to do. Like, I've done well with him at times in the past, and I don't think he's ever scored like 10 real life points for me. Yeah, John Jenkins asked a question: Fox, Ball, Van Vliet. Can you rank these? And I have them in that order.
They're all great players.
Factoring in ownership, I have Fox, then Ball, then Van Vliet. But Fox is going to be the lower owned one of the bunch.
Yes, he will.
And I believe that he has it's weird because like there's a different version of this slate that Fred Van Vliet is 7K from 3 weeks ago, and Ball is his first game back, and Fox is 9,500, and we're deciding whether to play Fox at 9,500. I just don't think his price is true to who the player he is. Like he just happened to be, he's been playing injured for a month, and I was worried that he was still playing injured, but when he plays the back-to-back and he puts up, 50 million fantasy points on the second end of a back-to-back, now I'm in a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Sabonis, the numbers and stuff.
I don't know about that.
Get it. I'm just not getting to it personally.
Yeah, I don't know about that play.
I love him. He's active. It's a great matchup. You know what I mean? But it's like, I guess I kind of was deciding between Fox and him. I guess if he was power forward eligible, what I would say is if I was building one lineup on FanDuel at 8,900, he would automatically be in that lineup. Does that make sense enough?
Yeah.
He's forward eligible. Because if you're using up a center spot, wouldn't you kind of either want to go with the double spend down, or wouldn't you want to maybe go with taking a shot with either Embiid or Jokic? To me, that's where my head's at. I do think Sabonis is very likely to get over 12.5 rebounds. But by the way, I don't care if he gets 12.5 rebounds. You know why? Jalen Duran will have over 12.5 rebounds. You can lock that one down. What is Jalen Duran's over under on rebounds? If it's anything below 9.5, people don't know what they're doing. He started 4 games. He has 13, 12, 13, and 19. And his minutes and his important minutes in the crunch are just going up and up and up and up.
LeBron.
What percentage do you think you'll have of Okongwu tonight?
I guess 90.
Okay, so because you mentioned Kaminsky. I don't think you want to play Kaminsky with him.
No, I'm not going to get to Kaminsky.
Oh, I think that's but if you're multi-entering, I think that's kind of an interesting play.
I'd rather save room for maybe Naz Reid, maybe.
Yeah, fair enough.
Donovan Mitchell. Those are really all these are really cool lineups. We have these multiple AKs. Like you get LaMelo and Donovan Mitchell in the same. You know what I mean? Like these are.
Sheets. Eric is pointing something Hayward is not in play at all with the minute stuff, right? Can you agree with that, Sheets?
I agree with that.
Gobert is out. Now we're all about to play Reed, and it's too bad because Eric brought up something that I want to point out as a good way of manipulating projections. Like I don't care if he ends up with 0 rebounds. There's no way you could convince me that Jalen Duran's average expected rebounds tonight should be 8.
Wait, so Trey, Forrest, Bogdanovich, Hunter, Okongwu are starting? Okay. So it looks as though Okongwu and Reed are going to take 2 spots. They're going to take the utility.
Why can't we make him eligible? Why can't we make power forward eligible Naz Reid? Fuck.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is really good news that we're getting it now, though. At least.
You're right. It's good news.
Good news for me. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm going out, so I don't have to worry about that at least. Would SGA be a really strong play now? Someone made a comment in another Discord saying SGA is such a strong play now.
Because they think Gobert is like a rim protector. It's just a
okay. No.
BS narrative that means nothing.
Oh, okay. No. Just asking.
No. I'm just saying I always have I like me. I like to keep my spicy reaction spicy. Like that's my personal thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just nonsense.
So okay. So this is fine. So these lineups are going to be it's going to be a little harder to get different, but that's okay. There's plenty of plays.
Yeah, and one thing you can just do, like the automatic way to get different, just right off the bat, is just don't play Okongwu and Reed together. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but you're gonna be dealing with a lot of those lineups.
The real good way to be different is to play the NHL tonight.
Well, no, I'll tell you another really good way to be different is don't forget when Naz Reid is not announced as a starter that it still matters. Don't forget that Jalen Noel is impacted here, and he actually will get minutes because they can play in this matchup Kyle Anderson at the 5. They don't need to have any big on the court ever if they don't want to.
That's interesting.
So Noel and Reed, I would bump up, especially while Russell's still not official, right?
No, I don't have anything on him yet.
Wow, that's interesting.
You'd think they would have announced that.
Well, it's weird because they announced the other part, which means it makes it feel like a true questionable.
Right.
Well, yeah, everybody's gonna love Naz Reid now. There's no bragging about loving Naz Reid now. That's not.
It's like bragging about loving Moses Brown.
Right. When Moses Brown's announced starting and there's no other bigs. Okay, I'm gonna have to rebuild my lineups here.
Let's see what Minnesota would.
So now,
they're pretty good. I gotta tell you, they're pretty good. Sabersom's right in there. I think the projection might be a little low.
What do they have, Naz Reid? I didn't even look at it.
Like 20.
Get out of here.
Oh, that's got to be old.
No, he'll be like 30 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they got him projected in 18 minutes. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay.
I mean, we've seen weird stuff before. Like Okongwu is more safer to get you 30, and Naz Reid is safer to get you 50. He can really go nuts. Like he has that in him.
Right.
And it's an incredible matchup. But he doesn't need to start.
No.
And it doesn't matter whether he does or doesn't. I'm still going to play him.
So who else is in play besides Naz Reid that wasn't before? Anybody? Like Jaden McDaniels to see?
They're all in play.
Yeah.
Everybody who has a Timberwolves jersey on is totally in play. It's a lot of rebounds you're losing. It's like 15 a game. Somebody else has to get those rebounds. Less assist upside, more lane being free. I like Edwards. I think I'm going to build the game stack out of this and just hope Russell's out. And even if he's not, I'm totally good with Noel, Reed, and Edwards on one side.
Right.
Or even Anderson on top of it too. And you could run it back with SGA, Giddy, Dort. They're all good plays. Poku, like, you know what I mean? Or whoever starts. It just works out as a game stack that I really like. So I think that's going to be my priority, is to try to get on that one.
Let me see what these guys have for Naz Reid.
Christian Wood is fine. There's nothing special about him.
Who?
Christian Wood, just Eric was asking about him.
Yeah, at center now as well. I mean,
yeah, I have to rebuild my lineup. I had a lot of Gobert actually, and I have to go rebuild my lineups. He was my other get weird center play. Sheets, are you good?
Yeah, no, I'm still screwing around, but yeah, it's fine.
Okay, if I'm able to, I'm going to try to jump on quickly tomorrow before the games, but I'm not 100% sure.
Can I ask you a question? What time is are the games?
It starts at 1 your time.
That early, really? I mean, that late?
That late? Yeah, it's 1:20. It's 1 Eastern.
1, then 4:30, then 8, I guess. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get on there at like 12.
Yeah, I'm not making a promise, but I'm going to try.
I can get on there at 12. Someone will be. I'll get there by 12. I have something I got to do from 11.
If I'm not there at 12, I'll be there at 12:30 or something.
Yeah, that's fine. Just so you know, what I'm living up to my. I think I'm forcing in some Cleveland tomorrow. Just so everybody knows.
I like it. I'm forcing in the other side, Baltimore.
So yeah, same difference.
Yep. Which means I'm going to be forcing in some Cleveland. All right. Well, good luck, Sheets. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. I'll leave this on.
Yeah, just leave it on. I'll turn it off when I leave. Right. I'll close the door on the way out.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Good luck, everybody.
So I'm still not getting the type of projection I'm expecting out of Naz Reid. I'm still getting only 20 fantasy points out of him, which is not exactly what I was expecting. I want to get a couple of models in here to really pop him before I really commit to this. What I'm gonna do is in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna update all the projections again one more time. The only thing that we're gonna have left, I think, is the OKC starters and the well, Golden State starters as well, obviously. Yes, these guys have 36 fantasy points. Jesus Christ. Okay, so at least I'll update these guys. Yeah, Naz Reid is going to be a lock. He is going to be, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, in every one of my lineups. So for those of you that are on this, because I posted in State Kings, you want to see the lineup build, you will be rooting for probably Reid and Okongwu in every lineup. I think. Can't see how I can get away from it. These projections are just too strong. And then, of course, you know what ends up happening? You know, Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic are both going to be like 2% owned, right? Because they're center only, and Reid and Okongwu are center only as well. Rather interesting, I would say. And this people are already starting to do this. You know, they're saying, "Boy, who not to play between Jokic, Naz, and Okongwu?" There's the problem, right? Right therein lies the issue. Yeah, I think this is a mistake, Mr. Rohde. That projection is too big. I don't think you can fade that. But well, whatever. What do I know? This is the United States. You can play whoever you want, but you got a 35-point projection of a 4K guy. It's not something that I'm gonna fade. Can I tell you? And yeah, they updated theirs, so let's update this one as well. I mean, I would fade Okongwu before I would fade Reid. That would be my suggestion. I think what you can do is maybe fade. You maybe do like a full fade of like DeAndre Hunter. I don't think he's got the upside to make it work on this kind of slate. I mean, he could put a median up there, but I don't think that he's got it in him for like a 40 or even like a 35. He just doesn't have that type of volatility. Who else do we have here? We get starting lineup. Oh, we got the Hawks. Okay, got that. Gobert is out. Russell is game time decision. So you could save a Noel if you wanted to. You know, that is definitely something you could do. Yeah, I like playing Trey. I like playing Trey with LaMelo in the same lineup. And I don't mind stacking Trey with Okongwu as well. Well, obviously that works, the pick and roll and all that stuff. Let's see what's going on here with this. So I might not be able, for some reason, to update the Reid thing in time. So you're just going to have to trust me that it's a good projection. Hopefully this is why you have to come to the live stuff. 23 fantasy points. No, that's not correct. But I could just give him 35. I'll do this manually. How about that? Well, this is what we'll do first. First, I gotta do my lineups first, then I'll update the projections. It's the best I can do. Got a bunch of lineups I have to do here. I'll probably have to go in about 5 minutes. And just so you guys know, again, all kinds of stuff coming up this weekend. We got multiple slates in football this weekend. We have Saturday and Sunday. We have MMA tomorrow. Got all the other. It's a full DGen Saturday and a full DGen weekend. You got soccer if you want to partake in that as well. Let me run this this build here. Let me see let's see exactly what I'm getting. And I'll let you guys know for with the most recent Nas Reed projection. I'd like to say that I'm not getting 100% of them, but I think I am. Let's see. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to end up with 100% of both him and Kongwu. And let's hope I get the right combination of the rest. But let's see. I'm building down, playing 40 lineups. And yeah, well, I'm getting actually 97% of Kongwu. So not 100 anymore. I'm getting a little bit too much of LaMelo. Oh, this is like a really cool big buy-in, actually. Let's reduce LaMelo to only 75% ownership. Should I do that? Trey, LaMelo, I mean, this is like all kinds of stuff from Atlanta, which is fine. I mean, we'll take our chances, you know. And how much DeAndre Hunter do I want to play? That's a good question. Let's only give me 20% of the DeAndre Hunter. And now we're ready to go. So this is my lineups. I'm going to have 100% of Nas Reed. I'm going to have 90, basically 95% of Kongwu. And then the big thing is right now I'm having a whole bunch of Pokashevsky. I might change that down the road. I just haven't decided. You know, if he doesn't start, I might just bag it with him. This is all on DraftKings, by the way. Yeah, that is all on DraftKings. I'll let you know I'm doing with FanDuel in a second. Yeah, this Poku could be the risky death of me here, but if that works, we're heroes. Okay, that looks good. Now let's do FanDuel. Before I do that, let me just check the Discord for anything. No, I have nothing. Let me check the questions for anything. Where are you? Erica's question. Luke only 9% on DK. I mean, what do you want? I mean, you can't. That price is just, it's tough. Okay, let's do FanDuel. I wonder if I'm gonna have a full dose of these guys on FanDuel as well. That would be, yep, still Nas Reed. Boy, all the Kyle Anderson. All right, so just for fun, we'll get a little less Kyle Anderson. Boy, oh boy, this is quite the experience. really heavy loaded into all these guys. That's what happens when you play chalk. You got to take big stands, then hope you get the other combinations almost perfect. Malik Monk, I'm having a bunch of him on FanDuel. And I am getting the Sabonis on FanDuel. The other thing, just so you guys know, I played on Yahoo tonight, just to do it. It's only 5K for first, but I wanted to start playing a little more over there. So basically, same guys over on FanDuel. And again, we just hope that we get the right combinations underneath the locked-in chalk. And we are waiting for some D'Angelo Russell business still. Before I build Yahoo, I'm going to go once again check Discord. Nothing. Check questions. Nothing. So now we'll go back and build Yahoo. Upload. Yahoo. Ignore all. And I presume it's the same dudes. I mean, there's not a real big price discrepancy between Yahoo, DraftKings, and FanDuel today. Same guys. A little more DeAndre Hunter over here. So we'll keep it. We'll keep the DeAndre Hunter over here. If I have time, I'll go and do one more projection update. It's just the one model that I have to update here. So basically, same types of exposures on Yahoo. So the one bit of risk I'm taking, well, I mean, I have a lot of Pokusevski. So if in fact he doesn't play, or if he doesn't start, or something like that, I might have to screw around a little bit. Let me just see if they ever change this one on this site. Yes. So let me just, okay, I will update the projections just so that they're done here. Boom. DK1. FanDuel 1. And then FanDuel 1. And then Yahoo 1. And we'll run one more set of projections, upload them, then I will bid you guys farewell. For those of you that are sweating with me last night, that was, I'm telling you, that was so much freaking fun. Sweating those, doing that live sweat last night, that was awesome. It's 2 weeks in a row. It was just way too much fun. Okay, so 1 second. NBA DK1. No idea what I'm talking about. You're better off. NBA Yahoo 1. Okay, we're going to run projections. We'll run Yahoo first. So I know it's late, but it's better late than never, I guess. 6:54. And then FanDuel with any luck, people just at least held stuff off until the 8 o'clock. But it's hard because you have all these games at 7 o'clock, starting with this Atlanta game, which is basically the key game. So we'll see what happens. I just want to just double check to make sure the projections took. Then I'll upload. And then we will get out of here. NBA DK. Does it look good? It does. So we will boom. All right, projections are up. Post this in Discord. Good luck, everybody. Bogdan starting. Not good. Okay.